to Let's Talk Luxury, the Mazars podcast series about how and why luxury brands are undergoing a business model makeover. In each episode, luxury experts discuss what's happening in the sector, from authenticity to circularity, new customer cohorts to retail experiences worth posting about. The luxury business model is changing, and in this series, we'll explore how to stay in vogue. So, let's talk luxury. Today's guest is Dr. Julie Laulusa, Managing Partner of Mazars in China and a member of the Group Executive Board. Julie, fantastic to have you on the podcast.
Hello, great to be here. Looking forward to speaking about all things luxury with you.
China is one of the biggest markets for luxury goods in the world. Before we get into exactly what they buy and why, can you tell us about the different generations of consumers in China?
There are four main generations of consumers in China. Baby boomers born 46 to 64, Generation X 65 to 80, and millennials 81 to 96, and Gen Z born between 1997 and 2009. So each of the generation has very different life experience due to the China economy development and evolution for the last 40 years that have shaped who they are and how they consume. Baby boomers, for example, spent their years in the middle of the Cultural Revolution with limited access to education. For example, only 3 to 4% attended university. Their upbringing shaped the way that they view and consume luxuries. And we see this across the older three generations. We are also looking into this generation and their habit at the pivotal moment. Pre-COVID, studies covering China predicted it would become the biggest luxury market by 2030, and now many studies expect this will happen in just in few years, possibly by 2025.
You mentioned baby boomers there and talked a little bit in depth about them. Can you give us some detail on the other three generations?
Gen X lived through an incredible improvement in the Chinese education system, meaning much poor people have access to education and computers. Most importantly, as this generation grew up, China also began to open up its economy around 1978, which brought a massive influx of foreign companies, which gave China its first taste of European luxury at home. And regarding millennials were the first to use internet in depth for purchase, with China becoming connected in 1994 and internet penetration steadily increasing in year 2000. This means browsing and buying luxury products online. With the economy advancing, they were also the first generation to study abroad, which enabled them to develop more global luxury tastes than Gen X. Regarding Gen Z, it's a generation of true digital native and are constantly connected. Their consumption habits are not shaped by fear of debt because in their lifetime, they have only experienced a comfortable economic standing in China after 2 decades of phenomenal growth.
The generations clearly all have their differences, but do they have anything in common in terms of what and why they buy?
They all align on the top 3 definition of what makes something luxury, starting with price, the higher the better, followed by the rich history of the brand, and finally, the character and unique design of the product. In terms of what they buy, most generations rank clothes, hair, and shoes as the most coveted product, and followed by perfume and cosmetics. But for millennials, they tend to go for bags and leather goods, whereas Gen Z and women, in particular, they tend to shop for jewelry and watch. Meanwhile, men of all generations share a strong interest in luxury electronics, such as the Apple Watch, where they buy their product However, tell a different story linked to generation, gender, and where they get their information. For example, younger generation like Gen Z, they prefer to learn about brand via mobile apps, and the same is true for women in general. Whereas men prefer going directly to a brand's website. And it's no surprise that Gen Z, being digital native, prefer to buy online. However, millennials, Gen X, and baby boomers still prefer in-store purchase. With millennials, they also often buying their product abroad.
You've recently released a new lifestyle consumption survey and study in China. Please can you tell me some of the key findings?
The study explored lifestyle consumption habits before and after the COVID-19 pandemic, including what the four generations are looking for from luxury today. And we found in that study that experience, wellness, and luxury product to be the three favorite categories for Chinese consumers today. However, it looks like luxury product will be replaced by education and entertainment in the future. Significant changes have taken place in the lifestyle of Chinese consumers. They are eager for more spiritual consumption rather just material purchase. Gen X consumes the most luxury goods last year. However, they plan to control how much they spend on luxury goods and invest more in wellness in the future. And due to the pandemic, we found that the consumption of the electronic product increased significantly last year. And consumption of perfume and cosmetic was greatly reduced. In the future, jewelry and watch will be the most popular luxury goods, followed by clothes, hats, and shoes, and bags, and leather goods. There's no surprise that Gen Z is more interested in electronic products. They are also the generation least interested in bags and leather goods.
I read that consumers in China can have different tastes based on their region and even their city. How does exact geographic location play into customer decisions? And are there any trends in some regions that could be considered unfashionable in others?
Chinese cities are unofficially broken down into 3 tiers. And when looking at regional preference, we see that in the first and second tiers cities, consumers have already become very mature and they want the product to be personalized and to reflect their aesthetic. However, consumers in third tier cities are not that mature. They still pay a lot of attention to logos and local trends to pursue fashion.
When it comes to the country of origin for luxury products, are there any clear preferences in China?
Yes. In a recent Mazars survey called Understanding Luxury Consumers in China, 79% said French brands are the best for all types of luxury products. 48% ranked the United States as the second favorite, and Italian brands come third.
So, thank you for sharing the big picture of what motivates customers. But what are the decisive factors that finally get Chinese consumers to swipe their credit cards in store and click buy online?
For in-store purchase, the quality and the presentation of product is considered the most important by almost all generations, except Gen Z, who put professionalism above all. They want to feel welcome and respected more than anything else. For online purchase, 5 factors are considered by all generations: after service guarantees, website presentation, customer service, clarity of purchase, and promotional offerings. They look at the logistics of the after-purchase guarantee. Can they return it? Will they have to pay for shipping? And online, they want to see photo and product that embody in a luxury experience. The only generation difference for online purchase is Gen Z, which considers customer service rather than the overall luxury presentation to be the most important aspect to the buying process.
And before we finish, what will change in consumer habits in China over the next 3 to 5 years?
Except Gen Z comes up a lot in our conversation, which show that our youngest generation is deviating from the pattern that we have seen in the last 2 decades. The social value of brand, something far less considered in the past, is becoming a top priority for young generation. Japanese brands are a good example because they know how to market this well, and on top of that, they know how to play to a personal style that is neither feminine or masculine, which resonates strongly with Gen Z there and in China. And I think more social conscious and more progressive style approach will shape how customers buy in the near future.
Dr. Julie Laulusa, Managing Partner of Mazars in China and member of the Group Executive Board, thank you so much for taking the time today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Let's Talk Luxury. To find out more about changes in the luxury sector, search Mazars Making Over the Luxury Business Model, or follow the link in the show notes. And to keep up with this series, subscribe on your favorite podcast app or go to mazars.com.